Hi, this is Jackie Jarmes, and I am joined today by Michelle Deshler and Lori Hugen, and we are all three literacy consultants, and we have spent some time working with the Coaching Field Guide. The Coaching Field Guide is a group of resources and tools and things that we can use to support our teachers and to support our work in our schools. We might dig into some of these tools if we're working with a teacher on MTSS, or if we are just needing some additional ideas to help us along in our coaching. So as we dig into this, first of all, we want to talk about what is a coach, and then why do we coach? When we think about a coach can be lots of different things to different people. The definition of a coach might be a coach listens, a coach observes, a coach helps you reflect, a coach questions, engages in dialogue, supports, and nudges. A coach, in short, helps teachers achieve their personal best. And this really is what we do every day when we go out and work in schools. We're listening, we're observing, we're helping our teachers to be the very best that they can be. So why is it important to coach? This is a quote that comes from Cornett and Knight in 2009. Without coaches to provide precise instructions, to model in the classroom, to provide positive and motivating, honest feedback, few new practices get implemented. And those that get implemented are usually implemented poorly. Take a minute there and think about that quote. Without us, AA staff out in our schools, out in our districts doing the work as coaches, then it's much more difficult for our schools to be able to implement things with fidelity.
Hi, this is Lori Hugen, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about practice coaches versus systems coaching. Lots of times there's some confusion around those, and I just want to kind of explain it a little bit to you. Coaching that increases an individual teacher's level of implementation fidelity and knowledge is known as a practice coach. Practice coaches improve and hopefully have some effect on an individual teacher's practices. Then systems coaching is coaching that increases the capacity of a school district team or a school or a district team to implement MTSS or any other initiative really that improves student outcomes. So it really works to move an entire system. Many times as an AEA consultant that serves in any capacity, we find ourselves really living in both of those worlds. So because the writing is small on here, I do want to walk through it just a little bit with you. So when you talk about the role and function, so the role and function of a practice coach, again, would be to provide those specific supports in content areas for which they have expertise. So if I'm a practice coach in the area of literacy, I'm working with specific teachers on the practices they use in the classroom. Systems coaches, their role is really going to be more working on those technical assistants, building that infrastructure or the entire system to make sure that the integrity of the initiative that you're working on is intact. Who do these people coach? So as a practice coach, you would definitely, again, be working with those teachers, where systems coaches are more working with leadership teams, administrators, and maybe coaches. They're more working as a team approach, okay? They are coaching in order to reach a certain goal. So in practice coaching, we're really looking at implementing that high quality of instruction, whether it's specially designed instruction in a special ed education classroom, or if we're looking at literacy instruction or math instruction, we're really working to pinpoint that and make sure that that instruction is done with fidelity in those specific content areas. When we talk about what our systems coaching, or why we are coaching those folks, is that we really want to push them to assess and analyze the systems data. So they're looking at things not so much individually, but more as a system. and engage in that ongoing data-driven improvement to the system or the structure that they're working in. Who and what are these coaches responsible for? Another question in there. So practice coaches would be responsible for specific content expertise in the area that they're coaching. Where systems coaches really would be thinking about facilitating the leadership teams or the district or building level leadership team to create an environment that supports and helps. The coaching conversation protocol.
I'll try and cut it out.
Okay, so we really want to move into how do you have a coaching conversation? We felt like in the information that was shared with us in the field guide, this was really the most user-friendly, something that you could take and you could maybe have pulled up as on your laptop or in your notebook as you're having a conversation to help guide you into what kinds of questions to ask or where you want the conversation to go. At this time, Michelle and I would like to model a coaching conversation for you. You can follow along on the coaching conversation protocol and even jot down what questions you might have and shoot us an email. We'd love to answer those.
Totally off script.
So, Michelle, what would you like to talk about today?
I want to focus on my small group intervention, my kids with the lowest skill.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then is that you really want to focus on that lowest skill group of students and see if we can maybe increase those scores?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. Where do you feel or see your current knowledge in this area? Where are your skills at right now?
I'm really struggling with this group. I feel like they're so far back in what they need from me that I'm not used to teaching those skills. So I think I need a little more work in that area because they're clear back in those beginning decoding skills. And I'm used to kids already coming to me knowing how to read. I don't have to teach them how to read.
Okay, so I feel like I'm hearing you say that you actually may need to bump back, get some more information about phonemic awareness and beginning phonics. Is that where you feel like these students might need some more work?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Do you feel like you might want some diagnostics done with these students in order to gain more information, or do you feel pretty comfortable that you know where they're at right now?
Well, I've done some diagnostics that I can share with you, and then you can see what you think. If you think we need to go back further than where I went.
Okay, great. So in other words, I think where we're at is we would like to look through the diagnostics together.
Yes.
And okay, great. So why don't we get out your diagnostics, look through those today, and make a plan where we may need to go in the future.
Okay.
Perfect. Go get it.
Is that the end?
No.
Oh, there's more. Okay. You're doing fabulous.
Okay, here's what I have. I did the quick phonics screener with these guys. What do you think? Because Johnny, he knew his letters, names, letter sounds, which thank goodness he did know that. But he wasn't really doing a great job when it came right away on short vowels and with and without digraphs.
Okay. I would love to look at that. All right. So what I am seeing on this is I would agree with your first assessment that really we need to go back to phonemic awareness, possibly, and make sure that we have all of those intact, and then move forward with the phonics.
Do you have an assessment that I could use, or you could teach me how to use it, or you could come in and maybe model one with a kid and I can watch, and then I could do it with the rest of them, and you could watch me and make sure I'm doing them correctly.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could do that for you. I think we should maybe set up a time. So action planning here, we're gonna set up a time where we are going to, I can maybe work with the first kid, the first student, and then maybe watch you while you work through the diagnostic with another student. Okay, and then we can, when we get all done, we can look at that small group you're working with and see exactly where we might need to start our instruction.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we have a plan in place and we're kind of ready to move forward, how do you feel like this coaching conversation has helped you?
It's validated my thinking, so that was helpful. And I like that you're gonna help me with the assessment, because I'm not certain that I would know how to do that without your help.
Right. So I really, I like how aware you are of where your students are. I like how you were able to share that with me. And I think moving forward, doing some work together on this diagnostic, I think this is going to work out great, Michelle. And then I think moving forward, you're going to feel comfortable to do this diagnostic with your students on your own, which is great.
Thanks.
All right, so I'll be back next Tuesday. So I will see you next Tuesday, and we will get these kids in the group they need to be on, okay?
Okay, thank you. I will see you next Tuesday as well.
So we have two coaching conversation protocols that you probably noticed. One had the columns, and you might have been following along with that as it was up on the screen. We also have a backside to that coaching conversation protocol. And now Michelle's going to walk us through some of these coaching skills.
Okay, so what you want to do first is build some rapport with that person. Hopefully you already have that going. Some things you could do though to help you build that rapport is mimic or match your body language to their body language. Look for gestures that you could use. Watch your tone of voice. Be calming and soothing. Match their language. Don't use language that is going to maybe appear condescending. And make sure you're breathing. You know, keep that even, steady breath. Some other coaching skills you can use is paraphrasing. You probably noticed Lori doing a lot of paraphrasing with me. So what I'm hearing you say is, so make sure you're listening to them and not thinking of a response while you're listening, that you're truly listening. Make sure your paraphrasing is short and to the point, and make sure you're pausing in there. So the other coaching skill would be to pause. So give some thinking time. After you pose a question, make sure you give them time to think and then respond. Allow for some elaboration. And then make sure you're asking questions. So give them open-ended questions that can have multiple responses to them. Make sure your voice is approachable and it isn't sounding condescending or mean. So those are some ways that you can build a rapport and keep that coaching conversation going. In our last slide, we have a site you can go to for some additional resources. If you click on this link, it's going to take you to resources from Elena Aguilar. And she has a lot of tools and resources available There are some general coaching stems that if you are worried that you're going to be in a conversation with a teacher and you're not going to know what to say, she has some great tools that you can put down on a little note card and have in your notebook and just discreetly look at when you're stuck. So some ideas would be, what I'm hearing is blah, is that correct? Let me see if I understand. Tell me what you mean when you, I'm curious to know more about, I wonder if. Some other things would be, I'm interested in learning more about, or I noticed when you did blah, the students really did blah. What criteria do you use? So she has lots of great resources on her site. So if you have time, make sure you visit that.
All right, so this ends our presentation today. We hope that you have had as much fun as we have had, and we wish you the best in all of your coaching endeavors.